You just got to keep, I don't know, I guess it sounds kind of very generic too, but I guess it is kind of generic for a reason, right? Because it's you just got to stay persistent in what you're doing, and not give up on it. Just if you believe in what you're doing enough, just stick with it.
Hello, everyone. I am Melissa Forziat of Take the Doughnut, here to help you get inspiration and get donuts. I'm a motivational keynote speaker, and today I'm bringing you a Take the Doughnut interview with Michael Breach, who is a celebrity latte artist and the founder of BaristArt. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, Melissa, how are you?
So good. I'm really excited to talk with you today. Before we get into any more serious questions, I have to ask, what's your favorite donut?
Oh man. So I've actually thought about this. Like, there's not actually like a particular type of donut. It's like the time frame is when it was made. And I don't know if you've gotten that before, but there's something about like just the freshest donut is always the best to me. Um,
Like made
and
to
I think I
order?
realized that. Yeah, well, maybe not even just like the freshest one that's out. Like I had a moment like that. I was traveling. I was doing a gig in Chicago, and I didn't know I was at this one shop, and there was just so many, and I was just like, like what do I get? And the woman behind the counter was like, oh, I know what to get you. And it was one that just came out. It was a glazed one. Um, and ever since then, it was probably the best donut I ever had. Um, and so since then, I've kind of like, all right, I'll just try to find whatever the freshest ones I can get are.
Hot tip, good tip. I love this. We need to look for those moving forward. Excellent. So, I said just a little bit about you up front, but tell us more about yourself. What should we know about you?
Well, I am a latte artist. I'd say I'm probably the world's only like full-on professional latte artist in that way where um you know everything I do is basically self-invented. Like I yeah, started doing these about 10 years ago. And I guess what everybody could know is really is that my whole business and what I do is events. So similar to like a keynote speaker, like I'm always at a conference, I'm always at a business summit, I'm always doing something where I'm entertaining people and I'm able to use my art to do so.
Oh, that's wonderfully said. So many questions with that, but I feel like let's see what comes up as we go through the questions I have for you, and hopefully we'll find out more about the journey that you've had. For those who don't know what a Take the Donut interview is, let me reset this for you. So, Take the Donut for me is an expression similar to Carpe Diem. It's all about going after the things you want in life. So it comes from this very strange thing that happened to me in college where I left an actual donut on a table, but that became an object lesson for me and what it looks like to leave opportunities behind. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut. So this conversation, Michael, is all about going after opportunities, going after goals in life, and what that actually looks like day to day for us when we try to do that. So let me ask you this. How are you with going after goals? What is that process like for you?
Well, with me, I always have a goal in mind. In fact, this whole career of mine started as a goal to go after. Once I realized I was able to create this art and I started my accounts and I noticed I was connecting with people all over the world, my goal was to make it so I could actually do this for a living, to do events. Because before when I started, even if you scroll back to my account, which is all the way from like 2012, I wasn't getting paid to do this then. This wasn't my career. So I had a lot of strategy behind what I did to make this my career. And it even begins before that. It had to do with me leaving this. I was living in Maryland before, and there was not much opportunity for me there. So what I did was I moved to New York City because I knew that there was a lot of opportunity. Um, So that was like my first thing. So I mean, everything I do starts from way earlier than that. It started from finding that right location. And then once I realized that I had that artistic kind of gift that I could do, um, I made it a point to go get a job at this photo studio where like celebrities would be and like important people would be. So I had a chance to show it to the right people. And again, that was a strategy, you know, it's like, um, and there's something I've been saying a lot lately too, is that um, you don't get something if you don't ask for it. You just got to ask for it. Like it happens a lot with my job, you know, like I'm negotiating rates and stuff. Like if I want a certain rate, I used to have trouble just asking for it, but sometimes you just have to do that. Um, if I, you know, there's always like, I mean, I guess I can keep going on all about this for days, but every day of mine, there is a goal that I have that I'm trying to pursue, whether it's like a conference that's coming up or a client that I want to do, like a project with. So say there's a client that I want to work with. Say it's like, for instance, you know, I wanted to do something with AMC because I used to really love The Walking Dead. This was years ago. So I made some Walking Dead latte art and I posted it on my Instagram and I tagged them and I did all of this hashtagging. And then a week later, AMC emails me and we're officially working on a project together because I put it out there and I tagged them and and I did that and I do that a lot with clients. For instance, like I'm also into, like, you can see this guitar behind me. Um, I reached out to the company that makes those and I said, hey, like we should do like a collaboration. Like I'll do a video and maybe we can do some kind of exchange. And I did some video for for them, and then now I can get guitars sometimes at like artist pricing, which is pretty insane. So a lot of it's just reaching out and asking, and but of course, having something to offer. Not just, hey, can I have this? Um, but yeah, like, so, I guess in that way, I'm always pursuing a goal.
When you
Um,
started, you said in the very beginning that you knew that you wanted to be able to make a living from this. In those
mhm.
early days, did you know what that meant? Or was that something you found? Because now it sounds like your goals are really specific about particular
Yeah, they're very
collaborations.
specific.
But in the early
Mhm.
days, was it just, I want to be able to support myself with this? Or did you have a vision of what that looked like?
Yeah. Oh, I had a very clear vision. In fact, the first time I did a portrait on one. I was just so this. I guess I can start in the very beginning, where I was first teaching myself latte art, and I was learning the basic designs, and I grabbed a little toothpick from behind the coffee bar at this hotel lobby, and I like just doodled a little face in it because whatever, why not? And I took a photo of it, and it triggered my phone's face recognition. And that's when I was like, this is kind of interesting. I've been an artist my whole life. Like I've always been drawing as a kid. I was always that kid, getting their paper taken away in class for drawing. Um, so what happened was I pretty much instantly had a vision of myself doing this at an event. I don't, for some reason I was wearing like a suit. I don't know, but I imagined this high-end party where I was doing it for these people. And then what also happened was I did some research to see if anybody already did anything like this, just to see if I could learn how to do it better. And when I found that no one did it, and that's really when the light bulb went off, because I realized I had a completely original idea. And that night I made a website. And this was when I was bussing tables at a restaurant. I went on GoDaddy and I bought a website because I believed in it that strongly. Um, and so I guess a big part of so I definitely had that goal early on. But what was your original question? It was about asking like how.
How specific was it in the very beginning? It sounds like really specific.
It was
Like,
very specific. It was doing events, and it was almost like I had some kind of vision of it, which is kind of interesting because
yeah.
I don't know if I will even believe in that stuff, but I somehow had this. That's kind of what it felt like. It was very vivid, kind of like almost like a preemptive memory or something, um, which
It's
was
amazing.
so. Yeah, so I mean, to me, that's kind of what was really what drove me to do it. And then, um, a big part of it too was, I guess a lot of it was I had a lot of people around me that this was when social media first came out too. So businesses didn't have social media accounts. There were no such things as influencers. There was nobody understood the idea of monetization with Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. So it was really like the wild west of it back then. So, um, so it was like definitely like a struggle in the beginning because people didn't find the value in it. So, that was, I guess we can talk on that later. There's always a little bit of struggle with it. So a lot of what I had to do was really just have faith in what I was doing. Because I was doing this for almost a year and a half and I never done an event and I was steadily posting and steadily doing stuff. So
Let's
definitely
talk
wasn't
about
like
that a little bit more. So when you've got something really big in mind, like what you had, what keeps you motivated in that process, especially through those harder times?
I guess is so I guess something big did happen early on. So um but it didn't lead to me doing it for a living. That's the funny thing. So I guess what happened was when I was working at this photo studio I was talking about, I did a video with something called Tumblr Spotlight, and they would just do these little video. I guess they were sort of like mini docs, and they did one on me. And this video that they created went viral online. And again, I was bussing at a restaurant. I was behind this kitchen. I wasn't doing anything, other than doing that. And then once this video went viral, I ended up getting like an email about 2 weeks later to go on Good Morning America. And this was in like 2013. And again, I had not made a dollar doing this for a living. I was still working regular jobs, but I was getting a lot of press, which is crazy. And so going on Good Morning America, going on Rachel Ray, going on having the Today Show producers in Good Morning America fighting over which show you're going to go on in the morning. Um, I guess that was a big thing that motivated me because I knew that, okay, if these shows are having me on, then something's, something's got to give. Eventually something will happen. And it took me well over a year up between going on all those shows and getting that press to actually doing my first event. Like it didn't happen like instantly. So it had to do a lot of faith. And there was a lot of it. There was part of back of my mind. There were people like, oh, well, your 15 minutes is up. When it's up, don't, because, there are sometimes the people that are closest to you can be the ones that, it's not like they want to see you fail, but like they kind of like you where you are, if that makes sense. So so sometimes getting more successful and moving up is having to like separate yourself sometimes from people in that way. Which it's not like not like negative. I guess it sounds kind of negative, but this was years ago when this happened. But I remember it vividly. Like I had like I pretty much don't really know almost anyone I knew back then because it was just like some people liked where I was. Yeah, interestingly.
I know exactly what you mean. I think it's so important that you actually articulated that. Um, you know, I guess you've sort of been rolling in an answer to this question along the way to answering the last question, but a lot of times when we have big goals or big opportunities that come up, challenges come up, obstacles come in our way. And I'm curious for you if there's a particular brand of challenge that just keeps coming up for you over and over again. Like no matter what it is you're going after, this is going to rear its head.
Um, I think sometimes it's like finding the right audience. Like in the beginning, I guess what I get like in the beginning of this, like I would always try to find clients that were like coffee brands, like oh this coffee company because I work with coffee. But the ironically, I've worked with maybe one or two coffee brands in the last like 10 years, really. Who I work with though is like pediatric dentistry conference, medical sales equipment, like like stuff like that. And you wouldn't correlate the two things, but it really is because I provide this fun, entertaining experience that's not really just about, it's not about the coffee. It's about what I'm bringing to their events. I'm bringing a situation that allows people to connect with each other and talk to each other because they're watching this art come together. And it's this whole like interesting situation. And I think the whole point of having an event is for people to connect with each other, right? I mean, otherwise, might as well just be at home on our computers, working remotely. Um, but I guess so. Yeah, that is a big thing is finding like ways for just like finding the right audience, And I guess another thing too is finding the right person to talk to, finding the decision maker, And I'm sure you talk about like keynotes and conferences and things like that. That's exactly what I do. I need to find the right decision maker. I need to find the person who's pitching me for something in a way where it's like, and it's almost like it's like a game of telephone, really, where like I'm only as valuable as like the person pitching me can describe me as to the person making the decision, you know? So sometimes it can be hard for me to really show the person who's making the decision what I can do for their event or for their project, and articulate that if that makes sense, and
Does it
because
make
what I do
sense to
is
me?
so
Absolutely.
yeah, right. Yeah. What I do is great because what I do is unique. So that's a challenge is the good thing about it being unique is that once people see it and they're like, oh yeah, we're looking for something unique and fun for our event. That's amazing. But then sometimes when they see something unique, they also, oh well, we've never done this before, um, and there could be a little fear or something like that too. So I, being the only latte artist in that way is great because again, people, it's a unique thing, but it's also like you don't see someone going, oh, I need a latte artist, or it's not a traditional avenue of work. So like, so I'm sure it's like it's kind of like a double-edged sword in that way, but
Mm,
that's definitely a
absolutely.
challenge.
Yeah. When you think back on your life, and this could be a personal answer or a professional answer, whatever comes to mind for you, what is the biggest donut you've ever taken? Biggest opportunity that you said yes to, biggest thing you went after?
It was actually a donut. So I guess one of the biggest things I ever did was I was doing an event for WeWork, and there was this person there. She said, "Oh, I know the CFO of Dunkin'." And I hear things all the time like, "Oh, I know this person. You'd be great for this. You'd be great for that. Yeah, let's connect." And then crickets. Or the ones that really reach out are the ones that take your card and don't say anything at all. Um, but sometimes but yeah, but anyways, they told me this and I got her email and I was like, okay, fine. Like, so I went home and I had a feeling about it. So I looked up the CEO of Dunkin' and I looked up some other stuff and I made a video of myself creating this portrait in latte art, and I made one of a donut and I made one of Dunkin'. And I just sent her an email and just sent it away, like letting a balloon go, see what happens. And a week later, I'm on email threads with the brand Dunkin', and they decide to contract me to do like a 20 city tour of their complete rebrand from Dunkin' Donuts to Dunkin'. So they flew me around. We did 20 cities. We went on multiple morning shows, TV shows at the brand. So literally was a donut that I um and I think that was probably one of the biggest things I've ever done really was this huge promotion with them, and they really had me on everything, and it was weeks and weeks of just touring and going on flights and connecting with everybody in the brand, and they were all such great people. They're a great brand too. And yeah, so that was basically it. And what that did too is that, like it it allowed me financially to be able to like get out of New York and move over to the West Coast, and kind of settle out over here and everything like that. And now I live out here where, I'm married now. We have a kid. We have a house out here in California, and I don't think any of that would have been possible had I not grabbed that donut and made that donut latte for the CEO and responded to that email and did all of that. So, um, you know, opportunities really, we talk about like grabbing opportunities. Everything is, you kind of look at everything like it could be an opportunity, especially like when I look back at myself being this barista in the back of this restaurant. Um, when I realized that what I was doing was something that could bring opportunities to me, and not only to me, like I realized that it just had quite an effect on people. Like it made people happy. It made people, and it was just this seemingly simple thing that I was able to do. So, I saw this quote somewhere too. It was like, if you can do something simple that just makes people happy, then like just keep doing that because the world needs more of that. Or it was something, I'm paraphrasing, but I was like, yeah, I feel like that. Like I feel that, a lot. So
I'm so
yeah, I hope
excited
that
that
makes
I'm
sense for
finally talked to somebody else who has like an actual donut as the biggest donut that they've taken. This is my dream
yeah.
come true, really. Uh, is there a donut
Right.
that you're taking right now? Is there something that's in progress that you can talk about?
Hmm. I guess right now, I'm always on to the next event, really. I guess my next big thing that I'm looking at doing is I've been doing a lot of groundwork lately where so we talk about having goals, right? My goal right now is to get more events local to the West Coast because frankly, I don't feel like flying to New York all the time, to the East Coast all the time for all of these because it happens a lot if you travel for work and you have a family, it can be a lot. So there's a lot of strategy involved in like, okay, how do I get more events in LA when I don't have a huge client base out here yet? Because I moved right out here in 2019, right when everything kind of like shut down 2020. So my next big donut is getting more local clients out here in California, out here in LA, and also out in Vegas because I'm like an hour flight, and I kind of realized like that's the donut over there is conquering Vegas. If I can go out there, you know, and I would love to get something. So I guess I've been working with something called DMCs, which are these, destination management companies. I'm sure, you know, anybody in the events world and does conferences and shows. That's kind of been my big thing now has been trying to connect with more of those locally here where we are. I'm actually doing a show the next 2 days called Expo Expo. So I guess that's my next big donut right there. I think it's a show for people that run shows, which is pretty
Okay.
meta. Yeah. So I'll probably get some work from that. So and every gig I do is kind of like that, as like a grabbing a donut because everybody I talk to is a potential opportunity for something. Um, that's like mutually beneficial too. I can go to their event and do something for them, and we can help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there may be some people who are listening to this right now who have a donut of their own they want to take. And it could still be an idea, or maybe they've started and they're looking to get that motivation to keep going. So let's sprinkle some encouragement. What would you say to those people who have that donut and they're just looking for that next step, that next motivation?
I mean, I would just say like have faith in what you're doing and keep persisting at it because you can so it does it can take a while. You got to be patient. Just like that's the only way I was able to do it was to be patient because I almost gave up pretty much when I was after about a year or so until my first client came to me and said, "Hey, we want you to we want to fly you to like Australia." And that's what happened. That's how my career started. It was one client who did that, and it was Nestle. So but it took me and it took like a full year and a half of just like after doing stuff and just thinking like, oh, okay, maybe this was just a flash in the pan, and I was like the story on the news for a week. So yeah, you just gotta keep, I don't know, I guess it sounds kind of very generic too, but I guess it is kind of generic for a reason, right? Because it's you just got to stay persistent in what you're doing, and not give up on it. Just if you believe in what you're doing enough, just stick with it.
Oh, beautifully said, and very inspiring for the people who I know there are a lot of people who need to hear that. Um, so, for those who want to find you, for those who want to book you for events in Vegas or California, for those who are interested in
Right.
what you're doing and they want to see what you're up to, where can they find you? What links should I put in the description?
Oh, my best is just my website and my Instagram. Both the website is just baristart.com and the Instagram is just baristart. And then, I answer DMs. I answer everything on the website. And yeah, I've been pretty much that's another donut is actually self-managing. So I've been doing that for the first time in my whole career just this year. So
Perfect. Well,
yeah,
everybody be
which is
sure
a
to
lot of fun.
Perfect. Everybody be sure to check out those resources. And if you liked watching this interview, be sure to like and subscribe because there are so many inspirational interviews still to come. But Michael, thank you so much for taking some time and sharing your thoughts about going after opportunity in life.
Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, it was great chatting with you. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Wonderful. And to everybody who's watching this, go out there, get inspiration, and get donuts. Bye, everyone.